And China today is accusing the U.S. of playing up the threat of warfare over Russian troops at the Ukrainian border. China and Russia getting closer and closer lately. Remember when Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping met right at the start of the Winter Olympics? That has some people concerned, especially Taiwan. In an exclusive interview for Hallie Jackson now for this show, Ken Delanian talked with Taiwan's rep to the U.S. on the threat posed by that China-Russia alliance and what a potential war in Ukraine could mean for them. Watch.
A small American ally threatened on all sides by a hostile superpower. Not Ukraine, Taiwan. As the world waits to see whether Russia will invade Ukraine, Taiwan is watching closely, and so is China.
Well, like everyone else in the world, we are watching the situation with much concern and anxiety.
In an exclusive interview with NBC News, Taiwan's representative to Washington warns that China and Russia are working together in dangerous ways.
I think it's pretty clear to all of us around the world that those undermining stability are China and Russia.
Xiao B. Kim spent a decade studying in the United States. She calls herself a cat warrior, a counterpart to what China has dubbed its wolf warrior diplomacy, marked by insults and threats.
I believe cats are certainly much more lovable than wolves. Cats are nimble, flexible. Cats can survive in small spaces, which exemplifies Taiwan's current international situation. But also cats have the characteristic that we cannot be coerced.
The U.S. does not officially recognize Taiwan as a separate country, but has promised to support its defense against a Chinese takeover. China views Taiwan as a breakaway province. While the current Russian invasion threat to Ukraine arose abruptly in recent months, China's threatening behavior to Taiwan has been building for years.
Well, we call it gray zone warfare, which is threats and intimidation, which come short of actual invasion and kinetic conflict. And the Chinese have been threatening Taiwan through a number of means, including near daily incursions of fighter jets into Taiwan's air defense identification zone. The Chinese have also been launching cyber attacks, disinformation, cognitive and psychological warfare on the people of Taiwan, aimed at weakening our resolve to our self-defense and also trying to sow divisions within our society.
Last month, Taiwan had to scramble fighter jets to warn off 39 Chinese warplanes that flew into the island's air defense zone. The U.S. military says China aims to take control of Taiwan.
Taiwan is clearly one of their ambitions before that, and I think the threat is manifest during this decade. In fact, in the next 6 years.
A spokesman for the Chinese embassy in Washington told NBC News that Taiwan is an inalienable part of China's territory and that China's reunification is an unstoppable historical trend that will not be changed by anyone. U.S. officials say the governments in Beijing and Taipei are looking to see whether the U.S. can deter Vladimir Putin from sending in troops or make him pay a high price if he does.
There's no question that China is watching the crisis in Ukraine really closely. And if Russia succeeds in seizing Ukraine, Chinese leaders could see that as a green light to go after Taiwan.
At stake, American officials say, is the post-World War II principle that one country can't change the borders of another by force.
If we allow those principles to be challenged with impunity, even if it's half the world away in Europe, that will have an impact here as well. Others are watching. Others are looking to all of us to see how we respond.
As the threat of war looms, so do concerns that one war could lead to another.
Ken is joining us now to talk more about this exclusive reporting. It is fascinating to listen to, Ken, and to hear from her, and specifically about those concerns about Russia and China working together and the worries that could undercut stability here. Tell me more about that, how we're seeing that play out.
Yeah, it's a huge worry. When Russian President Vladimir Putin met with Chinese President Xi Jinping on the eve of the Olympics in Beijing earlier this month, Hallie, they released a 5,000-word joint communique that experts say amounted to a roadmap for an informal alliance against the United States and the West. One scholar even said it could mark the beginning of Cold War 2.0. And basically what we're seeing here, Hallie, is America's most powerful adversaries embracing one another's grievances against the West. China joined Russia in expressing opposition to the further expansion of NATO, and Russia declared support for Beijing's crackdown on dissidents in Hong Kong. Russia also doubled down on its support for Beijing's one China policy, that Taiwan is an inalienable part of China and that Russia opposes any form of Taiwan independence. So this is Russia and China banding together to challenge not only Taiwan's status as a democracy, but the global order that has existed since World War II, Hallie. That's a worrisome prospect for Taiwan, but also for the United States.
Ken Delanian with that great reporting. Ken, thank you so much.